Hey there, this is Emily and Bernie from Third Place Works, where we help co-working professionals with tailored cohorts and one-on-one consulting. Our proven frameworks can help you get focused, stay accountable, and see real results. Want to learn more? Check out the show notes for all the details on how to join us and take your co-working business to the next level.
Hello, folks, and welcome to today's Co-working Values podcast. We publish twice a week, and we are the sweetest smelling co-working podcast in the world. And today in the studio, I have my friend Helen talking about one of our most interesting topics, email. So other than, I'm nearly giving it away there, Helen, but what are you known for, Helen? And what would you like to be known for?
Right. So thanks for having me. Really nice to be here. So I help small businesses with their email marketing, and that can be a combination of helping them set it up, or it can be mentoring them to get them started or keeping them going. And also I do some writing and some training as well.
You're really underselling yourself there. Helen is in our Drive network, and you would have heard from Anne and Jody and Thor and Lisa, and I'm sure there's someone else I've missed out there. And we are going to talk about Helen's email book, which we're going to put a link in the show notes and give you a code at the end of the thing. And I'm not, a lot of you know how much I love email, and it's one of the most well-crafted instruction manuals on how to do email for your micro business I've ever come across, and I've read at least 2 million of those. So just to get us into the flow, Helen, I'm going to be talking about micro businesses in the context of co-working businesses, because I know every co-working business thinks it's very, very special, but really most of the people that listen to this podcast, and I know who you are what the UK defines as micro businesses or owner managed businesses. I'm going to get to my question, Helen, honestly. So why do so many businesses just get email marketing wrong?
I think it takes some time and some effort and some consistency. And when you're running a business, you're kind of juggling so many different balls. It's easy for that to just drift. And I also hear people feeling that, oh no, it's another marketing channel, and I haven't got time, and they don't really plan it all that well because they've got so many other things going on. And then it gets to like Friday, it's like, oh no, we've got to get something out, and so they bash out an email that maybe isn't particularly inspiring because they're up against a deadline, and then they don't get around to it for 2 months, and you don't see the benefits because it's just not consistent enough, and you don't really have an overall plan that's linked into your marketing, your overall marketing goals. And I think if you go online to look for information on how to do it better, what you tend to get are marketing experts who do have the time and the team to spend a lot of time and effort on their email marketing, and you can't keep up with that because you're just one person or a small team. And also there's a lot of corporate email marketing advice out there for businesses that do have a whole marketing team, and you just can't keep up with that either. So you're kind of stuck in a really difficult spot trying to get some traction from your email marketing, but not really having the time to make a good start on it and keeping it going consistently. So that's why I put this guide together, to try and fill that gap in the middle that I saw was missing.
It is. I've been in love with email. I discovered, probably I think it was MailChimp in 2008, and I just couldn't believe you could send email like that and not have to BCC everyone in on your Gmail. And then I've just been reading about it since. And I do find that a lot, though. Things like, I've worked with lots of companies over the years that use things like Salesforce and HubSpot, and you read their websites, and if you have someone who's a HubSpot expert or a Salesforce admin, it is easy because you don't have to. They know what buttons to press, but it's not. It's just a lot to deal with. Where's the best place? Again, in that sort of micro business framework, where's the best place for people to begin? Because I love email, and I'm ranting about it all the time, and all our projects use email, and as soon as I turn up to something, I say, you have to have an email list. And I'm always learning, but I understand it, but I know that if someone comes to me and says Google Ads, I'll be like, what? So if someone's listening to this and they just need to get going, where do they kick off?
Okay, so the place that people tend to start, which I wouldn't recommend, is people tend to go to ask their friends what's the best platform, and I would not recommend that, because that way you get your mind completely boggled by all the possibilities, and you go around in circles thinking, should I be doing this or should I be doing that? Don't start with the platform. Start with your strategy and your goals. So what do you want from your email marketing? And then if I ask people that, sometimes I get, well, I want to send emails. And it's like, well, no, we've got to go beyond that, because of course, that's just a tactic, sending emails. What do you want it to do for your business? So how is it going to fit in with your wider marketing plans for your business and your business objectives? So for some businesses, they want to educate, and they want to or they want to build relationships, and for some they actually want to make sales. For some businesses, they want to send people to their website. For some, they just they've got a complex product or service that people don't understand. What is it going to do, and how is it going to fit in? And if you've already got your social media going, how is it going to support the social media and work with the social media? So yeah, the strategy is really important to start with, and it doesn't matter if it's just like one side of A4 if you're on paper. It doesn't have to be using some fancy tool to do all your planning and scheduling. Just write down what you want it to achieve, and once you know what you're doing and what you want to get from it, then you can go looking for the tools, and then you can go find content that fits that goal. Otherwise, you're just chasing your tail, trying to get whatever the best platform is that the people mention to you, or you're just searching online for the best platform, and you're just taking advice from all over the place, and it doesn't hang together very well. And I know we've had a chat about this before with co-working spaces. On the surface, you might think you're basically just filling a room with people, and you're saying, hey, we've got some spare seats this day, or we've got this event coming up. But actually, what you're probably going to want to do is to be talking about the benefits of co-working, so the community, so improving your productivity, getting out of the house if you're feeling a bit stale working from home. So talk about what it's going to do for people's lives, how it's going to make people better. That's what's going to bring people in, rather than just sending emails talking about what you do. Sorry, really long answer there. Does that help?
No, that's I was exactly what I want people to hear. So if we were in a session, Helen, and you said, and where would I kick off my strategy? I run a co-working space with about 75 desks or seats, and I'm really going to get into email, and I need to do my strategy. What's going to prime the pump on me working out what my strategy is for email? I'm going to call it email communication, because that I like email communication, because when people say marketing, they go into this weirdo universe.
Yeah, absolutely. I would start right at the top with your business objectives. So what are your goals for the next 3 months, 6 months, year, whatever you want, whatever period you want to pick. So are you wanting to get 20% more people through your business, 20% more sales, 10% more sales? What is your goal? And then look at how your email communications can support that. I'd literally start from there, rather than starting from what I feel is the kind of the bottom level, which is okay, I need to send an email a month, because that's not necessarily going to link in with your goals at all. So just really, the high level stuff, and then think about how your email can support that. And then once you've kind of worked down the levels a little bit, you can then start to look at the sort of content that would help you achieve that goal, and the sort of frequency of email that will help you achieve that goal. And you can then also go look at your audience and maybe arrange some interviews with them and say, what would you really like to get from these emails? And almost treat the email like a sort of a product in its own right, because you're gonna have to get people reading it in order for them to take action on it. So there's got to be some benefit in that for your audience. Otherwise, you're just emailing out information that nobody's ever going to read.
There's as you were saying that, I was thinking the amount of times I've sat down and thought, what I need to send something. And when earlier on you said about Friday afternoon, I've been in that situation thousands of times. Oh my God, what can I put in here? And it's like botched together. And I think it's better to send something than not send anything. And over the year, anything, sorry, over the years, the amount of times I've waited, if you don't get that consistency, you don't learn how to do it yourself. And you can read all the, watch all these videos on YouTube and read all these books about how to boss your email marketing and stuff like that. But if you don't actually do it, you'll never know how you do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so much of it, I talk to people and they think they're going to get it set up all right in the beginning, and it's going to, if they get it set up right in the beginning, it'll work fine. But it's not like that. You put some emails out there, you check your reports, you see how people respond, and you do more of what works. It's a really incremental process. And so much of it you can't know until you've got some data behind you and you can see how people respond. So yeah, there's definitely an element of just get something out there and see how people respond to it, because I think it can feel quite a one-way thing. You're sitting here at your laptop sending stuff out, and you're not quite sure how people respond to that. But it's not. It's definitely a two-way thing. You can ask questions in your emails and get people to reply. You definitely need to be on top of your reports to see what people are interested in, what they're opening, what they're clicking on, and probably treating it a little bit like social media, that sort of social media attitude where it's a kind of conversation in the community. I find that helps people a lot. It switches it out of the kind of email blast zone, which sometimes it is in people's heads. And the other thing I wanted to say is, get something out as long as you've got a base level of quality there. I mean, it blows my mind, but I still get people saying to me, I've just bought this list, can I use it? Don't do that stuff. If you've got a basic, a list of people that have chosen to opt in and that know you a little bit, then get something out regularly and then fine tune it later. But if you're just you haven't put much thought into it, or you've bought a list, or people aren't getting what they expect, then don't just keep emailing. Check your reports and see what response you're getting. So I don't want people to get banned by their platforms.
So my two next questions are actually, I'm going to go for this. I've got very, I've got opinions on what people should send that work for me.
Yeah.
And other people might have other opinions. So what would you think about the frequency of emailing people? Probably and to frame it in a sort of co-working community context, because, if you're Sainsbury's, you'll do it differently to, an e-commerce store or something. That was a bad example, wasn't it? I should have thought that out. But
I agree. Yeah, I agree, because that's another thing that you can read online, and you can have some experts say you should be sending at this frequency, and it's like it's different for everybody. So few factors in there. I think you need there's no perfect frequency. You need to be emailing enough, as you say, to get some benefit, because up to a point, the more people hear from you, the more they're going to understand what you do and how what you can do benefits them. And if they only get an email every 3 months, they're not going to know you very well. So that's a factor. Also, you want to be emailing consistency just from a deliverability point of view, because you'll get better deliverability from your emails. I won't go too far down this road because it takes a long time. If you're sending emails consistently, because you look less like a spammer that way. So like a spammer would get a big list and send it out to a huge number of people, send an email out to a huge number of people, except that a tiny fraction would open and then get another list of different people. You want to be the absolute opposite of that. So you want a nice level of engagement and a nice level of consistency, and then you'll get better deliverability from your emails. So that's really important. But I think what I see in terms of people trying to do too much in the way of sending emails is that they set themselves a target that they're going to email, probably every week I see more commonly than every day, because every day people kind of can't get their heads around that. That's just way too much for most people. I know it's not quite for you, Bernie, because you're much more into this than a lot of people. But they sort of set themselves a target of emailing at a certain frequency, and they just can't keep up with it. So you get this stop-start kind of thing going on. So I would say you're better to stay consistent and pick a frequency that you can stick to than you are to set yourself some goal that you're going to email very frequently and then just not be able to keep it up. So in that, you've got to include, how much time it takes you to put together a quality email, or do you have a budget to get someone to write that for you? I think people tack email on the end of what they do in a day. And you've got to kind of set aside either the time or the budget to do it well if you're going to have a higher frequency. Does that help?
That's really spot on advice. And I send that community builder email every weekday, and I wanted to put something online for a decade. Like, other than social media posts, I wanted to produce something, and it's taken me a decade to work out. And I definitely could have done it faster, folks. But what I have to say, how I'm going to say it, and the process to do it, and find the platform that connects to the thing I need to. So it is I can do that whole thing in 15 minutes, but it's not like it took a long time to find that out, and it took being in a group of other marketers to break down the system to work out how to do it and to be part of a challenge. So, and I've followed, people like Donald Miller and Jonathan Stark, and there's actually a podcast Jonathan Stark does called Emailing Daily, where this is very geeky, where people talk about how to do that every day. And actually it is like going for a run, brushing your teeth, making your breakfast. When you get into it, it's certainly not it's very easy once you get going. And what clicked it for me is I was doing a workshop with Jonathan Stark, and he said, when you do something every day, you get more ideas. When you do something every month, it becomes this big war and peace thing. And that's what attracted me to it. So it's actually the process rather than the fame of it kind of thing. But doing something consistently is way more important than how often you do it.
Yeah, and a certain amount of it is being in the habit, isn't it? And having the practice. You kind of with a bit more practice, it gets easier, it gets faster, it's less of a big deal. So there is that as well. But you've just got so many different things to balance when you're a micro business or an owner managed business that I think you have to balance, like I said, quality, the time you've got, the budget you've got, all the other things that are going on. And I think, as I said, just pick. There are some benefits to emailing daily for some people. Some people really balk at that because they just go, everybody will really hate me if I email daily, which for their audience that might be true. It does vary an awful lot. People's tolerance of the volume of email does vary a lot. So some marketers, they're fine with emailing daily. Others, say small businesses, their audience would just completely subscribe very quickly if they did it daily. So there's also your audience as well. So I think, aim for consistency, but also aim for quality, and just do something that is manageable and achievable for you. It's really important. You can always step it up later once you get into that rhythm.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. I've got 3 more points, and then we can go for lunch. But one is, when people sign up for that daily list, it says email daily.
Yeah.
And it's very clear on the sign up page. And actually, because I love saying things like this, like when people sign up to that, it says, if you don't want to get this email every day, please unsubscribe. I'll still love you. Because you have to give people permission to it. So
yeah.
I started a new list because if I emailed everyone else exactly what you said would happen, they'd be going, what is going on? You're abusing the trust that people are giving you by that thing. And can you say a bit about spam? Because people just say, oh, I don't want to spam people, even though they've had people opt into and all that conversation, just to clear that one up for the viewers at home.
Yeah, it's worth looking at what spam actually is, and it's email you've not signed up for, email you didn't ask for, and if people opt into your list, they have asked to hear from you, so you're not spamming them for starters. And like you said, it's really important to set the expectations up front, and that's both in terms of in terms of frequency, you can do that. I mean, I'd hesitate. I mean, yeah, if it's unusual in that it's once a day, yeah, set that expectation. I think I see people do the opposite and trap themselves in a corner. So they'll say, I'm only going to email you once a month. And then actually they find once a month doesn't work and they have to step it up, and then they're breaking that promise. So you've got to be a bit careful with that one as well. But I think set the expectations in. If people expect just to get news and then you start selling them stuff, you've broken that expectation. And also set expectations in, if you've got a nice, I've heard people complain that they've gone to a website that's very chilled, very relaxed, very friendly, very non-salesy, and then they join the mailing list and they're just hit with offer after offer after offer. That's, again, that mismatch in expectations. So if you've got permission, you've opted in, you've set the expectations right, and you're delivering what people signed up for, even if it's not an overt way up front, you're not spamming them at all. And in fact, if people have signed up, we were saying previously that people who sign up now, they really want to hear from you, because people who are just vaguely interested, they might follow you on social media and maybe never hear from you again. If they sign up to your mailing list, they really do want to hear from you. So talk to them, and get them early, build that relationship early on, just after they've opted in, because that's when you've got their attention, and that's when they really do want to hear from you. And if that means setting up a welcome automation, just to make sure they do get that consistent input from you in the early days, then do that. That's a really good way of doing it.
How do you get people? I know how I get people on my email list, but that's how I do it. And it's not some secret thing. I just go around and say, like, Helen, do you want to sign up for this? I'm around enough, and have been doing it long enough that people find the email thing. Or I'll just say you should join this because it's really good and it's right up your street. But generically, how do you get people on the first few people on your email list?
Well, the first few people, I would recommend doing exactly what you said there. So they're going to be people who already know you. A really overlooked way of building your list is to just go talk to people, and that could be, I've got this newsletter, or this. Maybe a newsletter's a boring word for it. Whatever that mailing is, give it a name and say, I think it might really help you. Can I add you? And usually people will say yes if it's face to face, because it's awkward not to, or even if it's online, it's awkward not to. So yeah, asking people one-to-one is really overlooked. And also, if you do any networking or public speaking or anything like that, that's another really good way of getting people on your list. I think people tend to think they've got to have some slick traffic generation method and slick copywriting, and if you're a micro business, people know you don't need that in the early days. I mean, it would help later on possibly, but you don't need that, because you've already got that relationship with people, and they trust you, and they want to hear more from you up front. So yeah, people is the best way to get started. And then after that, I would look at all the little touch points that they have with you. So you can put links in your email footers so that everybody knows you've got a mailing and they can sign up when they receive a one-to-one email from you. You can put it on printed material if you have that. You can, wherever you come into contact with people who might want to know about your mailings, then you can invite them to join and send them direct to an opt-in page. Don't send them to your website and expect them to find their own way there, because often they won't do that.
Do you like QR codes?
Yeah, I think they're great in the right place. Sometimes you see QR codes like on websites, and it's like, why? Just put a link in. It's crazy. So I think you can go overboard with them, but yeah, in the right location, I think QR codes are a great idea. Send them straight to your landing page.
When people come into your co-working space, if you have a QR code, I would have said this anyway, even if you said no, Helen. But
no, I do like them.
If you have a QR code by your door, people say, sign up for updates, wherever it is.
Yep.
Something better than that. That's a really boring line, but that's a whole new podcast. And when people log in, ask permission to add them to your email list. So if there's 10 people a week coming in to, do a hot desk or visit your space, ask them when they sign in. Most co-working space software does this on the pad where you can log in, and give them the permission, give them the option to say yes or no. Don't opt in people. I hate it when people make you opt in, so you have to opt out. That's really, because you're not opting in, are you?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a mouthful. One very last thing, and then we'll go, is, can you say a bit about, because when you said about it's like social media earlier, something I wasted probably 5 years of my life on was making stuff for social, making stuff for my website, and making stuff for the email newsletter. And I just worked 3 times as hard as I needed to. And you have to be platform specific, but could you say a bit about repurposing stuff so you get this flow of this workflow going rather than digging 7 holes when you need one?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of go one step further and say have a content calendar, so that a theme of what. It doesn't have to be really detailed, but each month you've got a theme of what you're going to send out already, and then you can say, well, that idea would suit email particularly well. That idea is maybe going to be a social post. And then it'll kind of fall into categories naturally a bit. But also, if you've got, you might find that you've got a blog post that you could put like a teaser paragraph in your mailing and then put a link through to the blog post. You may be able to chop a blog post down into, or any article you've written down into small sections to make like mini articles for your mailing. So it's almost like having a theme, having an idea of what you want to get out there, and then choosing the appropriate content for the appropriate platform. I mean, you can repurpose, definitely, and if you've got a massive pile of content you've created over the years, you can just go through and then turn, say, a long article into an email sequence that people get over maybe 2 weeks, something like that. That's another good way of doing it. You can put GIFs in emails as well, so there doesn't have to be. You can't directly put videos in, but you can put links to YouTube videos, of course. But yeah, you can put GIFs in. You can put images from social media. You can even use social media to generate content. So you can, with permission, if you get people to send how it would be how they're using your product normally. Send a photo of them using your product, and then you can put it in your newsletter. I guess that would be photos of in a co-working space that people have taken of each other that you could ask their permission to put in your newsletter. So yeah, lots of opportunities. But if you look at social media and your email marketing as a whole, and then that will save you time because you're only planning it the once instead of planning it once for social media and then saying, okay, how can I use this stuff in my newsletter? Does that help?
Yeah, I've that's definitely. I've got way better at not rehashing, but using the same thing in different ways and editing it. And I don't know, it's actually really, really good fun because when you go back to something you did in November, you've got another month's worth of brain power on top of it. So you go, oh, I can just put that out there. And people need to see the same thing a few times before it lands. There's people I absolutely love and hang off every word. And I'm amazed. Someone will say, oh, I've got a podcast out. I said, how long have you been doing a podcast? I talk to you all the time and I don't know you do that. So you have to be consistent, going back to your original point. We need to go, don't we? So where I'm going to put a link in the show notes to your ebook. And can you say a little bit about that and the code and the time limited offer? It's the impending event close, folks.
Yeah. So you can download my guide from the link in the show notes. If you go to it's available to buy. If you go to the shopping cart and you put a code in, you basically get a 100% off code. So the code is Bernie 2025. Yeah, I did. It is a time limited offer because all the best ones are, but it doesn't expire till the end of February, so you've got quite a long time to download that. And yeah, so I wrote it as a choose your own adventure because I know that everybody's at a different stage. Sometimes people are just starting out with the email marketing, and sometimes they've got it rolling and they want to know what to do next. And sometimes I speak to a lot of micro businesses who try it and then kind of crash and burn a little bit, and then restart a year or so down the line. So whatever stage you're at, there's something in there for you to pick up, even if it's right in the middle, or you need to go back a few steps and fix something that maybe isn't working too well. So I've written it that way. It should be easy to dip into and easy to pick up the bit that you need, rather than oh no, it's another book I've got to read cover to cover.
My recommendation, folks, because if you could sit down with that ebook for an hour and make notes and stuff, and then that would set you up for forever. And I did a test once where I signed up for 25 co-working spaces for their email newsletters, and some of them and some of them have been on this podcast, and only one person emailed me every week, and that was a co-working space that was also a music venue in Chester. And everyone else, and I was expecting more from some of these people, either emailed me now and then. One person emailed every month, and most people sent when they had an event on 3 or 4 days before the event, they emailed me to tell they had the event on. And that was a few years ago. But if you nail your consistency around communicating via email for your co-working space, you'll be way ahead of the pack. It's the sort of thing that motivational speakers say. You'll be in the top 1% of the industry if you just send an email that's not shit on a regular basis. Where else can we find you online, Helen?
You can find me at my website. That's helenlindop.com. That'll be in the show notes. I, of course, have a newsletter myself.
Really?
Yeah, funny that. And then I'm mostly on LinkedIn in terms of social media. I dabble a bit in Instagram, and I'm getting into Threads and Blue Sky a bit since I think we all left Twitter or X, didn't we? Back end of last year, because I was a big Twitter fan back in the day. So I'm kind of trying out Blue Sky and Threads as well. So you might find me there, but I'm less active there.
I've got Twitter grief. Most people are in co-working I met via Twitter, and I'm still getting over it. So thank you for your time and attention today, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to go down and download Helen's ebook. And if you go to the show notes, there's on every episode we do, we're very, very proud of our show notes. And there's always links to the Community Builder cohort that Emily and I run. There's European Co-working Day. If you sign up for that, get into that conversation now. It's not till May, but that is something we're going to make you all do. And there's the Workspace Design Show at the end of February in London at the Business Design Centre. A lot of the European co-working folks will be there. And there's that co-working LinkedIn group that's just crying out for you to go and say hello. Wherever you are in the world, have a remarkable day and be careful out there. It is a jungle.